Ghosts, goblins, and ghouls. On October 31st, something magical and a little mischievous happens. Streets come alive with little witches, pirates, superheroes, and even the occasional zombie, all going door to door chanting trick or treat. But have you ever wondered, where did this spooky tradition come from? Was it always about candy, costumes, and harmless fun? Buckle up, because we're about to travel through time and discover the eerie origins of trick or treat. Hey everyone, welcome to Behind Basics, the channel where we dig deep into the everyday traditions, objects, and customs that shape our lives. Our journey begins over 2,000 years ago with the ancient Celts and their festival of Samhain, pronounced Samhain. Imagine this, the end of the harvest season, the last crops are in, and winter's chill is on the horizon. For the Celts, Samhain wasn't just about preparing for winter, it was about preparing for spirits. You see, they believed that on this night, the veil between the living and the dead was at its thinnest. Ghosts and spirits could freely roam the earth, and to keep these wandering souls happy, people would leave food and drink outside their homes as offerings. Sounds spooky, right? This tradition of leaving food out for spirits? It's one of the earliest roots of trick or treat. No candy just yet, but they were laying the groundwork. Fast forward to the Middle Ages. With Christianity spreading across Europe, ancient pagan festivals like Samhain got a bit of a makeover. October 31st became All Hallows Eve, leading into All Saints' Day and All Souls' Day, holidays meant to honor the dead. And here's where we get the first version of trick or treat. In many places, people would go door to door offering prayers for the souls of the dead in exchange for food. This practice was called souling. Instead of candy, they'd get small cakes called soul cakes, and in return, they'd promise to pray for the homeowner's dearly departed. But in places like Scotland and Ireland, things got a bit more theatrical. Kids would dress up in disguises. This is where we get the term guising. And they'd go from house to house performing little tricks or songs in exchange for treats. It wasn't candy yet, but more like apples, nuts, and coins. It was the early version of the trick or treat we know today. Now let's hop across the pond to America in the early 20th century. Halloween had arrived, but it was a bit rowdier. Instead of candy, kids were more into tricks. And by tricks, we mean pranks. Picture this, soaped windows, tipped over outhouses, and smashed pumpkins. Mischief was the name of the game, and towns were starting to get a little tired of the Halloween chaos. By the 1920s and 30s, things were getting out of hand, so communities started organizing Halloween parties and events to keep kids busy. And what better way to keep little pranksters happy than with candy? Then came the boom after World War II. With more suburban neighborhoods and more kids, thanks to the baby boom, trick or treating really exploded in the 1950s. Candy companies saw an opportunity and jumped on board. Soon enough, Halloween became the candy-fueled frenzy we know today. But there's more to trick or treating than just sweet tooths and spooky costumes. Some of the superstitions from the past still creep into today's traditions. For example, the reason we wear costumes? It's believed that ancient people dressed up to blend in with the spirits wandering around on Halloween night. The idea was, if a ghost saw you dressed like one of them, they'd leave you alone. Smart, right? And what about that iconic phrase, trick or treat? It's not just a cute line, it's a little bit of a threat. In some places, if you didn't fork over the treats, the tricksters might pull a prank on you. So, better give out the candy or you might get tricked. Though trick or treating as we know it started in the United States, it's now a worldwide phenomenon. In Mexico, they celebrate Dia de los Muertos, where families honor their ancestors with colorful altars and offerings. In Japan, Halloween is all about the costumes, and huge parades light up the streets with spooktacular celebrations. Even countries like Canada and Australia have embraced the tradition, with kids everywhere hitting the streets in search of sweets. Trick or treating has become a global spooky sensation, bringing joy and a sugar rush to kids and adults alike. And let's talk about how trick or treating has evolved today. Sure, the candy's still king, but now you'll also find healthier options, toys, and even stickers being handed out. Plus, with busier lives and more safety concerns, new trends like trunk or treats, where people hand out candy from decorated cars, have become popular in many communities. Whether it's at the mall, in your neighborhood, or at a trunk or treat event, The tradition of trick-or-treating continues to adapt to modern life while still keeping its spooky roots intact. So there you have it. From ancient Celtic festivals to modern candy hunts, the history of trick-or-treating is packed with spooky stories, mischief, and of course, sweets. This Halloween tradition has been around for centuries and it's only getting bigger. Thanks for joining us on this eerie journey through time. If you enjoyed this spooky tale, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe with your fellow ghouls. This is Behind Basics, wishing you a frightfully fun Halloween.